things we don't do an awful lot of until down the line is working. We've talked a lot about the pectoral area. There's nothing to stop you working a little bit in this area while somebody's lying face up to start with. So you can use the soft knuckles just to work in there. You can use fingertips. If there's a little bit more space, you can do some more things. I like to lean down onto the shoulders. And if you remember, we did that technique where you lean down that way. Now, some of these things are very useful because they give you more space. Who asked about the space when we couldn't have enough space between? Yeah. Very often what you actually need to do is create space for yourself by just pulling the arm down. Then I have a little bit more space to work there. Okay? That makes sense to you? Or it might be that you push the shoulders down. Okay, now I have a lot more space, don't I? So here you can see the upper trapezius, yeah? And if we turn the head to the side, there's the sternocleidomastoid. The scalenes are going to be in here, and they tend to be a little bit tender. And around the back here, we're coming into the erector muscles here, okay? So if I want to feel my bony landmarks, I'm going to feel for those spinous processes there, and then I've got the erectors this side, the scalenes, the trapezius here. So if I pinch that there, you can see the trapezius there, okay, and the sternocleidomastoid here. But I'm not going to go in here, right? Is that all right with you? If I don't go in there? Cool.
So is it this bit you don't go in?
This bit here. All right, there's no need for us to go there. Again, I'll show you the sternocleidomastoid here. So I don't need to, I can work on the sternocleidomastoid, and I don't really want to go in here. I can go in here into the scalenes. I'm not being very clear, but this way. So there's the scalenes. You can just see, if I turn her head that way and I stretch her, then you can see the scalenes there.
And that's cool.
Scalenes are good to work on. But the thing about the scalenes, as I said, is that the nerve supply comes underneath there, so sometimes you might find that people can feel that a little bit, so just back off a bit if it's too much. They tend to be very tender. You kind of felt in there. Most people have very tight scalenes above the clavicle. So go above the clavicle and down, and then move your head. It actually pulls your head. Yeah, okay? Right. Alright, so we're going to oil. The trouble with the neck area is that people are frightened. So I want to get you over the idea of needing to be frightened. So remember that diamond effleurage we did on the back? This is the same thing. I'm coming out, I'm going round the shoulders, I'm coming back underneath. Then I'm going to take both hands together and pull through. I'm going to show you what I do. So I come round underneath, my thumbs are on top, and I'm going to pull through. Show you again. Down, round, under, not yet. And then pull through. Am I pulling her head up?
No.
Just letting it
lifts, doesn't it?
It lifts as you come under, but I'm not pulling the head up. This would be pulling the head up. Okay, and that's a whole different technique. So I'm actually using my hands round, under, and just with that rope-like stretch, pull through. So that's just adding the oil and getting her used to me. But then I might want to work into this upper trapezius. So I can do one side with that, and I might want to bring her head round a little bit while I do that. And as well, if you can come round here. Sometimes I kneel. If I do kneel, it's one leg up, one knee, kneel and one knee up, okay? I like to use the knuckles a lot. You notice that? So I'm going to use the knuckles just softly into that upper trapezius. We've also got the levator scapulae there, okay? So I forgot to mention that one earlier. So I'm just using my knuckles under there. I can do that both sides. Okay. And what I'm doing there is I'm bringing my knuckles and then using these parts of my first finger to come up under the spine and through. So I'm not working on the process of the spine. I'm actually just coming other side of it. So I'm knuckling through and watch as I pull her up. There you go. And that's using there. Okay? But you'll find your way under there. If you use your knuckles there, you'll just feel around. How's that? Like that? I'm kind of just going to work more on that side. So that's one thing you can do, and you can use one side and the other. You can move the head to one side, okay? No problem at all. You can roll the head, gives you a lot more space. If I have more space, I can do that lovely triangle effleurage, one side. I can come to the side, use my fingertips. We're getting used to using fingertips, and I'm actually now going to work along the erectors into that area with my fingertips. Can you see that okay, Matt? Good. If I wanted a little bit more tension in that area, what I can do is use one hand there and just stabilize the head as I pull through. And that's quite a strong movement I'm using there. Antoinette, are you okay? Because I'm feeling, you know, it's a bit like working on the erectors when we were doing the cross fibre work. If you find the place where it's tight, and then you just gently but firmly pull through, and I'm just using that to stabilise so it keeps the traction on that muscle, okay? And I can do lots here from this position. So I can do lots of pulling through. I can actually pull through the neck like so. Let me think what else I want to show you. I can stretch the neck a little. So if I roll her head, I've got my left hand here, right hand here. I'm just going to stretch the neck. How's that feel? Good. Okay, that's one stretch. And that's likely to stretch the upper trapezius there. If I want to stretch the scalenes, I need to take the head to the side and stretch there. Can you see the line of stretch that I create that's different? So this way the nose is upright. Can you see here the line of stretch through there? I'll show you that one. There's one. But if I actually turn her head, I'm going to get another area stretched here. Okay? So depending on what you're trying to achieve, you need to think about that. Okay, what else can I show you? What else can I show you? A little bit of traction. This is where I get lazy and I like to sit down. It's actually most of my work on necks I do underneath. Somebody said something about hands under the... Amelia, you said something about the hands underneath.
Yeah, Cara put her hands underneath my bag and used her fingertips.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. So what I'm doing is taking my hands under, not any further than they'll go comfortably, and see the movement there? All I'm doing is taking my fingers and just bringing the spine up. So I can do it with my fingertips. You wouldn't want to do too much of that, depending on how heavy somebody is. I'm going between the vertebrae just to mobilise a little bit. But actually, if it got more, I might use different parts. I might use all sorts of different parts to get a little bit more movement. This is another thing I like to do a lot of. And this is just literally either side of the spine. Shall I show you on the skeleton? Would that help? Hang on there a sec. If I'm here, I'm literally just moving these. Actually, it doesn't move, does it? I'm moving these as I go along. So I've got my fingers between these vertebrae and I'm just taking the neck side to side as I go. Sorry, but I forgot that doesn't move.
So you're literally on the vertebra when you do that rather than
Yeah,
the muscle.
I am on the transverse, well, just underneath the transverse. There's the transverse there, yeah. I'm just kind of using... what else can I show you? Let me think. Oh, the occiput. What we really want to do, I'm going to show you, so come round. Actually, you stay where you are, I'll do your side in a minute. I'm going to show you, I'm going to use my fingertips to get under the occiput itself. So feel on your body, your own self, just come under the skull, that is your occiput area there. But if you feel underneath there, there's a lot of attachments. You've got the suboccipitals as well that keep your head on. They need a lot of help, really, just to release in there. And so I'm using my fingers up and under there. Can you see I've just moved her whole head so I can get under there a little bit more? And so pressure under there is really nice. How's that feel? Nice. Yeah. So if sometimes it's really tender, and you might want not to use so much pressure. So sometimes I'll ease off, have the head flat, and just use my fingertips. Can you see that there? So let's just show it. And I've got some nice tight bits there. So sometimes I just hold the head on a position that it's like doing a reversed compression. So right now, instead of pressing down onto that, I'm using her head weight so that it's now coming down onto my finger in the same way. All right? Quite useful, really, isn't it? So what I did there was come under the occiput. So I'm working with my fingertips under here. Okay? I might move her head a little bit so I can get under there. And might be gentle, it might be firmer, depending on what I'm feeling. And what I did was I found a tight bit and I moved her head onto that so it does the same as the compression it would do the other way around. Traction is nice. So with a traction, you want less oil, okay? A lot of the stuff I would do on the neck, I wouldn't actually have oil because very often a lot of it you don't need it. Same as we found out earlier. So I've already got this. See how I'm slipping? Where if I didn't have oil on there, I wouldn't be slipping. Can you just grab a towel under? No, that won't help because it's on her body. That's it. Great, thank you. So when do we put a towel under people's heads?
You're doing traction, isn't it?
No, not when you're doing traction at all. I'm just thinking, when does somebody need it under their head?
When their neck isn't level with their spine.
Yeah, when the neck isn't level. Why, when isn't it going to be level? When are you going to see someone with the... Let it go a minute. When are you going to see someone with a neck like that? Yeah, very often with a kyphotic spine, right? When they have a kyphotic spine, when they're rounded round and the neck ends up doing this, that's when you need the support. If you've got someone with a neck that's really lovely and straight, personally I don't use support. Draw uses it more than I do. Just lift your head up a minute. I'm just going to use the towel as a traction. Okay, that's it. Now I've got traction. Right, I was just using that so I can pull her head. I want you to see just the small amount of traction that's there. Okay, can you see that? Okay, and sometimes to stabilise it, I might use the forehead. I'm just holding that a bit. You okay with that, Antoinette? Yeah, good. And release. Bit of movement. Oh no, I must stop because just stop that minute.